Hi there, this is Bibek. Uh, I hope you enjoyed my previous sessions regarding the desktop virtualization and the other videos that I shared recently. So today I'll be discussing about one of the problem that everybody is facing uh, related to a lab setup. Like you want to practice some application or any software or any skills where you need to set up a lab which needs a high amount of resources like CPU, memory, storage, etc. Most of us have already laptops and desktops at home, but that's not sufficient to host those applications. Like if you want to install Openstack, or if you want to install any virtualization setup environment like VMware ESXi or KVM on your laptop or desktop, that needs a high amount of memory and CPU, so you cannot do that at home. So that is the reason I received many various queries from various of my friends and followers to come up with a video that will solve that problem, that will target in solving that problem. So we can use the cloud technologies available nowadays, like Azure, VMware, AWS, Azure, and GCP, that we can leverage. All these cloud providers are providing a free tier account that you can use. So free tier accounts is sufficient for our normal practice. That's sufficient. You can test, you can create a test environment, you can create a lab environment, you can learn about the technology itself. So that's for that it's sufficient. But you need to take care of the limitations, because AWS provides a limitation. So AWS provides around the limitation on the resource usage in the free tier. So if you maintain that limitation, if you work within that limitation, that's absolutely fine. In case you cross that, that AWS is going to charge you money. Though in some instances they can refund the amount, because in my account they charged me around 700 rupees in Indian currency. So because I used the resources over the limit, then I raised the support ticket for the refund, because I mentioned that I am learning the technology, I'm not aware of the limitations, and they refunded me. But it's a small amount, that's the reason they refunded it. If it's a bigger amount, then they may not refund it. Again, depends on them whether to refund it or not. So that is the reason AWS free tier is a bit risky, but if you use it under control, it's absolutely fine. The next one is GCP. GCP provides $300 of USD, that is United States dollar of credits, which amounts to 21,800 rupees in Indian currency as per the current conversion rate. So you can use that, and you need a credit card for the registration, but after registration they will not charge you. Once the free tier period, that is a 90 for GCP it's 90 days. So once the free tier period expires, then they will remove your resources. They will give you some time and then remove your resources, and they will send you a notification for upgradation of the account to the enterprise or the business account. So if you don't do that, then the account will remain active, but you cannot use it. You cannot launch any resources. So we will be leveraging GCP, because for this lab we will be actually setting up, configuring a KVM based, like Linux kernel based virtual machine on a Linux instance. We'll be using Centos 8 instance on GCP. Though the cloud vendors does not provide the virtualization facility over Linux instances, because the Linux instances or any instance we use over public cloud is itself a virtual machine. So if you want to run or install any virtualization over it, that becomes a nested virtualization. So nested virtualization means virtualization over virtualization. So that the cloud vendors does not provide. Yeah, AWS provide it not on the normal virtual instances. They have a provision of, like, they have a facility of providing bare metal servers. So if any company or any organization needs bare metal servers, they can deploy their own setup over that bare metal setup. So VMware as a service they are providing that you can leverage, you can use Linux and then install virtualization over it. But that's a bit costly. That's not covered in free tier, so you cannot use it. And on a normal Linux instance, they would not provide, as per my understanding, they would not provide the nested virtualization feature. But in GCP, they are providing the feature. So they have the documentation. In fact, whatever what you were saying, viewing on the screen like this setup, this is on GCP. So these instructions are provided by GCP, where you can use any of the available vendor provided or custom image, Linux or any operating Linux image. Mostly CentOS, Red Hat, Ubuntu, any SUSE, any flavor you can choose, and then you can enable virtualization. So they have given the option. So that we will be leveraging. You can create multiple instances, and then you can practice any application. Like if you want to set up a Kubernetes cluster, if you want to set up a Linux OS based cluster like Pacemaker, or if you want to set up a Hadoop cluster, if you want to set up a Cloudera based big data cluster, or you want to set up OpenStack is not supported because OpenStack is again use virtualization. So OpenStack is not supported. Openshift you can configure. You're on a Linux instance, but for that you need to spin off multiple instances of a higher capacity based images, like with higher amount of CPU and memory. So that will cost you money, though they will charge it the money from your account. So if you use in such a way, then you will ending up spending the whole amount within a couple of days. That does not make any sense. The option we have is use a single instance, a large instance with a huge number of CPU and memory, like say 16 CPUs and almost 48 to 50 GB RAM that you can use. A single instance and configure it to use virtualization as per the instructions provided by GCP, and then you can install uh, kernel virtualization KVM on it, and after configuring it, so you can use multiple virtual machines inside it. Even you can install ESX, like VMware ESXi image on it. You can use virtual center as well, and you can set up a high availability lab using ESX. That we will cover in my next video. So this video is focused on setting up the KVM, the base instance for our lab. Okay, so with this you will also get some glance of GCP. Those who have not worked on it, they will have some glance of the GCP, that how it works, how the instances are spin off over there, how the networking is configured, everything. Basics, obviously fundamental. This is not a cloud course, so we'll cover it in this uh, in the session. Stay tuned. Let's start it. Okay, so if you go through these documents, this I will be sharing with you in the video description. So here the heading is the title of this article is enabling nested virtualization on VM instance on GCP. VM instance, by VM instance I want to make it clear it's a Linux instance. Okay, so what is nested virtualization? Nested virtualization adds support for Intel BTX processor virtualization instructions to compute engine. So in any system, like if your laptop as well as your desktop, if you want to install virtualization, or any server, enterprise class server, you want to install virtualization, the processor should support this facility. Virtualization extensions like Intel VTX is the technology that is used in the virtualization in the processor CPU itself. That should be enabled from the system BIOS, and then only you can install. Otherwise, you can't. So because the KVM is actually used as a bare metal virtualization. Okay, so it's a type 1. It works as a type 1 virtualization hypervisor that we have covered already in my previous video, that in the virtualization concepts video, so that I have already covered. But here we'll not go to that much detail. So let's focus on our lab setup. So by default, the Linux instances in GCP does not support it. We have to enable it. So how the nested virtualization works? We should have, before that, we should have some understanding about what is nested virtualization and how it works. So using nested virtualization, you can start a VM instance as normal on Compute Engine and then install a KVM compatible hypervisor on the VM instance. So you can run another VM instance on top of that hypervisor. You can use nested virtualization on any Linux instance running on a Haswell or newer platform. This is a CPU family that we are using. So we will be selecting an image that based on this family that I will show you. So nested virtualization is ideally suited for VM-based applications and workloads when the converting or importing your VM images to compute engines is not feasible. So under which scenarios? What are the use cases of this nested virtualization? So nested virtualization, you want to migrate any of your platform or any of your application which is running over virtualization KVM in your data center, physical data center, that you want to migrate it to cloud. But unfortunately, the application does not have the functionality to convert it to a native image for Linux in cloud. So you have to migrate it as it is. So you can configure a nested virtualization in cloud and then migrate the virtual machine as it is and deploy it in the KVM running over cloud. But obviously, since you are running a virtualization over virtualization, so it will be a slower one. So it will not be a faster one. So if you are using it for a production environment, so you will be in trouble. So it will not give you the maximum performance and throughput that you can expect from a bare metal environment. So for that case, it's not a suitable one for testing any application, for development as well to some extent, for lab setup, for experimentation. You can use it. Okay, so let's go proceed further. Nested virtualization ideally suited for this is okay. This is, for example, you can use nested virtualization to build a disaster recovery solution for an on-premises workload running on KVM virtual machines that can seamlessly fail over to VMs running on Compute Engine without extra time or orchestration needed to convert your KVM VM to a native Compute Engine image. So another workload that could be well suited for nested virtualization is a software validation framework. That's for testing. Okay, for testing that you can use. So next, how nested virtualization works. Compute Engine VMs run on top of physical hardware, the host server, which is referred to as L0 environment. So Google has their architecture. So this is the Google's architecture. So nested virtualization is hypervisor L0. They have categorized each layer as levels. Okay, so layer 0. So, or you can say level 0. So level 0 hypervisor is runs on directly on the physical box, which is running on their data center. Over that, they have the virtual machines. These are the virtual machine instances. Okay. So hypervisor L1, these are the layer 1 or level 1. These are the virtual machine instances which we spin out as a Linux image. And on that, we have to enable nested virtualization. Once that is done, this is one. This is level 2. This is called as level 2. So we can call our nested virtualization environment as level 2 or layer 2. On that layer 2, you can create multiple virtual machines. Okay. So on this level, so virtual machines you can create over this level 2. So this is the architecture. That's what they have explained it here. Within host server, a pre-installed hypervisor enables a single server to host multiple compute engine VMs, which are referred to as L1 or native VMs on the compute engine. When you use nested virtualization, you install another hypervisor on top of L1 guests OS and create nested VMs, referred to as L2 VMs. Using L1 hypervisor, L1 or native compute engine VMs that are running a guest hypervisor, and nested VMs can also refer to as host VMs. So let's proceed further. Yeah, restrictions. There are some restrictions as well. Nested virtualization can only be enabled on L1 VMs running on Haswell processor or later. Okay, so if you search for it in the Google documentation, you will get more details about it. So E2 and N2D machines do not support E2 and N2D. These are the category of machines which do not support nested virtualization. Hence, we have to select N1 or N2. Nested virtualization is supported only in KVM-based hypervisor running on Linux instances. Hyper-V, ESX, and Zen hypervisors are not supported. So over the native Linux image on, that is the L1, on the L1 layer, you cannot install Hyper-V, that's the Windows-based virtualization, VMware ESX, or Zen hypervisor cannot support, are not supported. You can only use KVM based hypervisor on a Linux instance. Okay, that's why we have selected. So Windows VMs do not support nested virtualization. Okay, so just move forward. Performance. Even with hardware assisted nested virtualization, there will be a performance penalty for the nested VMs. So that means what does that mean? So if you configure nested virtualization on a physical hardware at your place or your data center, there also you will get a performance degradation because it's running one virtualization over another virtualization. So if you, that is the reason it's mostly not used in a production environment. For testing and lab purpose it can be done. So here my motive to configure it on the Google Cloud is that I can provide you an option to configure a lab with sufficient amount of memory and sufficient amount of CPU that you can use for setting up your lab. So it will be it may be slow, but you can do the work and you can learn. So learning, it will not stop. That setting up, you don't have a lab, so you are not able to practice, so you will not get that option. So you have the option to learn, even if the obstacle is there, that we can overcome. Okay. So enabling nested virtualization on a Linux instance. There are two steps required to use nested virtualization. Nested virtualization is allowed on the project, folder, or organization level that I will show you in the Google Cloud. You have to create a free tier account in Google, so you will get $300 of free credit. So you have to register it. You have to register using a credit card. That credit card is only used for verification of the account. They will not charge you. Yes, they will charge you $1 initially for verification if the card is active or not. After that, they will refund you. Okay. So after creating the account, log into your account. So this is the account. This is the account I have. So if you look at it, so if you go to billing, I will show you how much credit I left. This is the credit. So this is 21,804 is the total credit. That is a $300 converted to Indian currency. There now I have left with this much because I used it much for demonstration purpose. Okay, so I have 79 days out of 90 left. Okay, so ends in 18 July. So this is the this is the cloud setup, the main management console of Google Cloud. So here. Let's go to the documentation. Open a cloud shell. Okay, so I have to open. Let's see what all the resource instances I have. So if I go the compute engine, we need to go to compute engine. So compute engine is the infrastructure as a service. It's IaaS facility provided by GCP. So if you go to the compute engine, it will open. So it will show you if you have anything running over there. If I have, I will delete that. So look, I have two instances already created. So two instances I have already created, and this is the one. This is a lab. So this lab I don't need. So let me delete it because I do not want to keep, because if I keep it in the, though it's not running, it stopped. But if we keep it, it might, even if it stops, it will consume the storage. It will consume the storage resources. So let's delete it. I will keep the other one, like this one I will keep, because I have many files that I have to copy it in this in the new VM that I will configuring. So I will delete it. It's a small Linux instance, does not make any difference. Just let's keep it. So now go to the documentation. What does it say? Here, okay. After creating the account, okay. Open the Cloud Shell. Now what is Cloud Shell? So Cloud Shell is Google. Google is actually based on Linux. Google environment is completely based on Linux. So they are providing a shell so that we can use the command line. They have a command line utility called Google SDK, G-Cloud SDK, that you can install it in our local Linux instance, in our laptop or anywhere. But if you don't have that one, so Google has provided a shell. This is called this one. This one is the Cloud Shell at the top right corner. Just click on it. It will open the shell at the bottom part of the window. It's a Linux shell, so we can execute commands. Because in order to configure the image for the first time, so we have to execute some command. So that will enable virtualization on a Centos image. Centos vendor provided image. Okay, so hold on. Let it complete, and in the meantime, let's go through the documentation, the article that I will be sharing with you. The Cloud Shell operates at the bottom. You have to use the Cloud Shell here in this way, and create a boot disk from a public image or from a custom image with an operating system. Use the G-Cloud command line tool to create a disk from the boot disk image of your choice. For this example, create a disk named disk1 from the CentOS 8 image family. Okay, so this command, let's copy this command and put it in a notepad. Okay, so this G-Cloud compute, G-Cloud is the command compute, so it use the compute engine facility to create a disk. Now what you're going to create? We're going to create a disk, new disk named disk1 using an image, pre-configured vendor provided image. So CentOS Cloud, we are just giving a name. This is the image family. This is the image project. This is the image family, and this is the image name, and this is the zone, the geographic area, US Central 1DB, the data center where we'll be creating it. So it will be accessible from that region only. Okay, so the image will be available at that region. So you can spin off your images from you can spin off a new machine from using this new image. That is the disk one, what I am saying. But this is actually we are creating disk. So after that we have to create, this is a disk, this is not an image. Okay, so we are creating a disk. After that we will be creating an image that we are going to use to spin off the virtual machine. For that you need a license, the nested virtualization license provided by Google. So by this this pre-installed disk image does not have that one. We have to customize it. So let's see if it's opened or not. Yeah, shell is open now. Okay, so shell is opened. So let's now create this image. Let's give it a different name. Lab disk. Okay, so lab disk one. Lab disk one. uh, CentOS 8, CentOS 8 lab disk 1. Okay, now the rest everything is the other parameters are same, so we don't need to change anything. Just go there and Control V to paste. It's not works. Let's see. Copy. The connection lost. Reconnect it. They are saying that Google Cloud shell is not available. Let's see. There could be some problem. Why so? It seems my internet connection has broken down. Let's connect to a different connection. Let's go to connect with Geo. Yeah, my internet connection has dropped. So let's reconnect. Okay, now shell is available. Okay, so when the shell is available, copy it, paste it here. Okay, paste and enter. It wants you to authorize, so authorize it. It's going to create the image. Okay, image created. Centos disk 1 image pre-standard ready. Okay, so image is created. Now let's go to the other commands. Okay, image is created. Now gcloud image the image is created, but it does not have the license. It does not have the license that is required for the license that is yeah, for nested virtualization. So we have to use this nested virtualization license. Okay, so we have to create this image. Okay, so the image is created. Now we have to create the image out of it. We have to create the image out of it. So the command is this one. This one is the command. Okay, so the complete one is the command. Okay, copy it, put it in your text editor. So this is the complete command that you have to put. This is a break. This is a break of the command. It's a lengthy command. It's a longer command. So here gcloud compute images. Now we are creating. Earlier that was the disk. Using that disk, using the disk, this one which created earlier, we have to create the image. So just replace the disk name with the disk which we have created. So this will be a nested VH image, and this is the license. That license is incorporated in the will be incorporated inside the image itself. So that allows us to use it as a nested virtualization host. Let's create it. It may take some time, so wait and watch. Done. Image created. Okay, now how will you check it? You can check it from the compute engine. Go to compute engine, open it. So here you will see the disk. This is the disk created. Now we can delete the disk as well. Now we don't need the disk. We can create, once the image is created, we can delete this disk. Let's see the image. Nested VM image. I think I have given this name. Let's see. Yeah, nested VM image. This is the image I have given. I have given this name. So we have to use this name. Okay, so this one. This one is the image that we created. By default size is 20 GB. It's the size of the image, but that we can increase. When we deploy a Linux instance, so we can deploy it. So this is the one. So let's now see what our document says. Okay. After you create the image with the necessary license, you can delete the source disk one. Okay, so the disk is no longer required. We can delete it. So for now on, just keep it. We can delete it later on. So the steps mentioned here is for the how to create a spin-off instance. So you can go through it. For now, I can demonstrate it. Let me demonstrate. Go to VM instance, create instance. So it will open you the instance creation wizard. So give it any name. Let's give it my new lab 1. Okay, so my new lab 1. Region, you can you have created the image in this region, so leave it as it is. No need to change. So you can change it later on. You can also spin off the instance in any other region, but for now, for lab demonstration purpose, it's fine. Let's keep it as it is. Okay, now machine configuration. Go to machine configuration. So here select general purpose. So here actually it will show you the how much you are going to spend for a machine, the hourly rate and the monthly rates. Okay, so if you keep this machine running for whole month, how much you are going to spend, and if you run it for a couple of hours, how much you will be spending. So this is very less, but it depends on what instance you have selected. So here the instance is E2, general purpose E2. If you select the compute optimized or memory optimized, that will cost you more. So in that case, you for lab purpose we are not required to use that. That's for the production use for your organization that you can use it. But for now, as per our recommendation, go to N1. N2 also you can select. That's also Intel based. N1 you can select. That's also Intel based, and that provides the best performance for nested virtualization. That as per my testing. So N1, select N1. So how much memory and CPU you need for virtualization? So if you want to install ESX over this virtualization for a VMware lab you want to set up, then it will be a much bigger one. So you can go for 8 and 32 GB, but I would suggest you to go for custom one. Custom, select N1 supports are up to 16. You can select up to 16 CPU. 60 GB you can select. 60 GB, let's see if 60 GB allows it. Let's go for the 16 GB, 16 CPUs and 60 GB of memory RAM. It will charge you 408. It's a huge amount for a monthly, as a monthly expenditure. But if you run it for a few hours, then this much is sufficient. It's not much. Okay. So once you are done, just delete it. So delete it, and after that, when you want to configure, yeah, after configuration of our KVM, I would suggest you to create a machine image or create a new image from that, so that your KVM will remain in the image itself. Right now, in this image, KVM nested KVM is not there. We have to install it. So, but once you configure everything, just create a new image out of that, and then delete the original one, and keep the image. Whenever you need to set up the lab again, you can spin off it. It will take hardly few minutes. So I will show you that. Okay. So let's say allow 16 GB, 16 CPUs, 60 GB. Now, yeah, you need to select it's now Debian. Debian. We are not going to go use Debian. We have to select our image that we have created. So select the image, go to custom images. Show images from, it's my project. My project is already selected. Wait for some time. It will show you the image list. Will give you the list of images. So I have two images. This is one, the pre-configured image, which already has the KVM installed. So we have just now created this image. So let's select this one. Make it 100 GB. Okay. So if you want to set up a VMware based lab or KVM based Red Hat virtualization based lab or VMware ESXi based lab, so you need sufficient space on it. Okay, so use 100 GB. And this balance persistent is a costly one. Don't need to use it for our purpose. We can use standard persistent disk. Okay, that's fine. Select. So it will show you how much now. This is 411. You have increased your storage. You have selected a Centos image. So that costs you 411 USD monthly and 564 cents hourly. That's fine. Not much. Okay. So you are all done. Now, yes, we have to use, since we need to configure nested virtualization, we can use the command line, but graphical user interface is also recommended. If you have that, will make your task easy. And those who are not familiar with Linux or very comfortable with Linux, they should enable this feature. Okay. That can be enabled later on as well, but let's do it now. Now create the image. Let's see, I have selected 60 GB of RAM. If it's allowed in this region and in my account, then it's fine. If it's not, then we have to reduce it. Here it's showing the status. This instance is running. This instance is running. Done. Instance is started. So here you can take the status like the create VM instance. This my new lab one. My new lab one, and its boot is my new lab one has been created. Okay. So this instance is created now. For now, I do not need this one. So when I require it, I will start it. Right now, will keep it stopped. Otherwise, it will consume unnecessary resources, and it will reduce my free tier account balance. Okay, so that's fine. So if you want to open it, you can see that this is the details about the instance. So okay, 16 GB, 16 BCPUs, and this is actually hosted on their Linux-based virtualization database data center, the Google's data center, Intel Haswell. Intel Haswell is the CPU family used, and these are the configuration. One external IP given so that we can access it. Primary internal IP also given so that it can be accessible by the internal other VMs within the data cloud infrastructure itself. And for external access, we have to use this one. This is an ephemeral one. If you stop it and start it again, this IP will change. Okay, it's not a permanent IP. So this is the details about this image, this instance. Now service account. This one is, we need this service account because we need to allow firewall rules later on, not now. Okay. So by default, SSH is already allowed. You can access the instance using SSH, but for that you need to do some extra configuration. Like Password, we are not supposed to use open password based authentication. We have to use keyless authentication using keys, private and public keys that is encrypted. The traffic should be encrypted over public internet because we will be accessing the instance from a public internet from our laptop. So that's the reason that's recommended. Otherwise, somebody can hack that instance, get into it, use it for some improper use or harmful activity, and you will be charged or even you can be punished. So that's the reason you have to be very careful, though Google can identify it. They have a very stringent security mechanism. So not an issue. So for now it's fine. So let's get into the instance. So how do you access that shell? How do you get into? There is no graphical desktop, by the way. This Linux instance does not have any graphical user interface. There is no console. We have to use the shell. So if you're not comfortable with Linux shell, go and learn it. That will be helpful. Since this video is part of my DevOps journey, so that's the reason I have covered these topics. Like virtualization and cloud is one of the main topic that need to be covered. Cloud is based on virtualization, and even the physical data centers are virtualized nowadays. So this is one of the most important topic that need to be covered. So that's the reason I'm covering. So Linux is a very highly used for automation and in the industry. So in any environment, if you see there are 100, 200, 500 Windows boxes, you will see around 10,000. Even environment, I worked in an environment in my previous organization where I used to manage 10,000 Linux servers. Can you imagine 10,000? Even some accounts have 20,000 Linux servers, large accounts, if you take all their data centers globally. So if the automation is not there, your life will be hell if you support operations. So automation should be there. And Linux is best for automation. So Linux command line is highly recommended. Even applications like Oracle databases, middleware are running on Linux nowadays. So just go open this one, copy it. Okay, so if you copy this, now if you need to access it, if you need to access it initially, we have to access it using the web shell because we don't have the keys configured. We cannot access it directly from my laptop. So for that we need some configuration. So that is the reason Google has provided a shell, but it's not. This is not the case with AWS. In AWS, you can use their shell, but AWS also provides the option to download the keys at the time of the instance creation, and then you can use your own SSH client tool like Putty or any other tool. So I am using MobaXterm. So I will show you. So first open their shell and configure it. Start configuring it. This is the shell. Guys, keep patience. This will be a bit lengthy video because I'll be covering so many things. So keep patience and have watch. You will enjoy it and you can use it in your practical use. Okay. So now, yeah, okay, I'm into the shell. Sudo, and let's get into root account. It is the administrator account. Done. So cat etc. We need to check the release, what release it is. It's a CentOS Linux version 8. Okay, so this is a CentOS 8 image. And what is the kernel version? Kernel version is 4.18. That's almost pretty latest version. Now let's see if it does have the virtualization enabled. So we have to check the virtualization. We have to check whether the VMX extension is enabled in the CPU. So for that, cat proc CPU info grep VMX. So virtual machine extension. Okay, so it does. How many CPUs we have? All these steps are mentioned in the article, so you can see all these articles. So what count? 16. We have selected 16 CPUs. How much RAM it has? 3. Sorry, 3 hyphen M. So it will show you 60 gigs. Okay, we have selected 60 gigs. It's sufficient for our purpose. Okay, so that's fine. Now let's see the disk structure. Yes, it's a root GB root partition is having around 9700 out of 100 gigs. 97 gigs is available that we can use for our configuration. Okay, and let's create a user account. So all the steps are mentioned. I believe it's mentioned in the document. Let's see. So after that, okay, it's done. VM creation, everything is done now. Yeah, this is the given unum -r. Okay, so all steps are given here. So DNF, you can use the yum utility for package update, or you can use the DNF, the newer utility available with Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 and CentOS 8. So newer installations, they are using DNF, so that also you can use. Okay, so lsmod is KVM, this module you can check. So module you can check lsmod grep KVM. That also that will show the modules is loaded or not. So if the processor is showing VMS extension enabled, so that's pretty fine. So where is the shell? Okay, go there and use that command what's given here, like lsmod and grep kvm. Lsmod means list modules. lsmod, then search for kvm. Sorry, there's a typo. Okay, here module is loaded. Okay, the module is loaded. We need to update it. We need to update the installation. So you can use dnf update. Let's update this version of CentOS to a latest version, which is not done. This image is at this moment at the level when the image was created and released by the vendor. So it's recommended to update it. It will take some time. Keep patience. So I think there's nothing much to update. It's already in the latest state. AC Linux is a security enhanced Linux. It's a discretionary access control, you can say. So that provides protection against file at the file and directory level and the process level. So that's a very big advanced topic in Linux. Just leave it. The system is upgrading these packages. The security components are being released very frequently. So you can expect newer packages almost every day. Google Cloud SDK, that is the G Cloud utility, is already there in this system. If you want to use it, you can use it from there. Though you need to configure it to use your account. That will not be covering here. Because our target is to configure KVM as fast as possible. I hope you are enjoying the session. and it sounds to be interesting. It sounds interesting, and you will find it informative. I'll be posting this video in YouTube channel as well, so you can watch it there. If you have any comments, then you can comment it. This will be available in Facebook. This will be available in Facebook as well, so you can comment in the Facebook. I can reply back. This seems to be taking time. Let's see. Yeah, I hope it's done. It installs the packages. It does not install any new kernel, so I don't think we need to reboot it right now. So reboot is not required at this moment. So let's reboot it once for as a precautionary measure. Reboot it. So it will restart the instance and it will reconnect. Once the instance is ready, it will reconnect. Okay, so hold on. So in the meantime, let's go to the document. So once this is done, yeah, we need to install Cockpit. So Cockpit is the management utility. So Cockpit is a management utility that you can use. So though it's not required, it's mandatory, but for a basic management, using a web-based management utility to manage the operating system, so we can use it, and I will demonstrate you. If you require it, you can use it. So I will show you what it does. So that's the reason I have included it. Generally in the production environment, we won't use it. I believe we are already connected. Yes, we are already connected. The server has been rebooted. Let's check the uptime. Yes, it just now came up. Okay, so let's now proceed with the Cockpit installation. So Cockpit installation is pretty straightforward. Just we need to install this command. Copy the command, paste it in a notepad, just execute it. Not in the Cloud shell. This time it's in the Linux shell. Okay, so our VM. So Control V. Press Y to continue. It will install many components. Even it will install some virtualization related components, like QEMU is one of them. QEMU is an emulator that we use for our virtual machine management later on. This is QEMU KVM. It installed the NFS utility server as well. Then I think I need to reboot the system again. Not required, I think. No, not required. Reboot not required. Reboot not required. Okay. So let's now start. It's installed. Now start Cockpit service. So systemctl copy this command in a notepad. Systemctl start Cockpit .socket that you can use. Started. Then enable it. That will make it persistent across reboot. So after reboot, this will be available. So it does now, it's showing the status as active. Okay. So Cockpit is active and enabled, and it listens on ports 9090. Netstat that we can check. Netstat NTALPU. So N4 no need to resolve for names. So it will show the process IDs and IPs instead of its name, corresponding name. It will not resolve them. T for TCP, A for all process communications, and then U for UDP and P for process details. Okay, so it will show you all these details. So let's see. Grep 9090. Yeah, it's listening. It's listening. 9090. It's listening. Okay. So how to connect it? So we cannot connect to the cockpit yet. Okay, we cannot connect. Why we cannot connect? Because this port is not allowed in the Google Cloud Firewall, GCP firewall, which is the firewall which is available with the virtual public cloud. Virtual public cloud is just like a VLAN. You can consider it's a isolated environment for each customer. For each your setup, you can configure a VPC. And these VMs instances are configured, though we are using the default one. These instances are configured within the VPC. So this VPC does have a firewall where we need to allow that port. Right now it's not allowed. Now how to connect to it? Okay, so how to connect to it? Yeah, you need to allow it in the local firewall, because in the Linux system there is a local firewall running. In that firewall also you need to allow it. So you need to install allow the rules in the local firewall. Let's show it in a, I will show you it later on. First go to how to access it. Let's see. Let's try to access this first. So you can access it use the 9090 port directly from your browser. You need the public IP. So this is the public external IP. Copy it, hit it on the interface web browser, add the port 9090. I think I have used. Yeah, fine. It's not connecting, right? It's not connecting. Let's see if it's connecting. Okay, I think 9090 port is allowed. 9090 port is allowed. I have actually allowed it. So for my previous lab setups, I have allowed it. Let's delete it and then show you. Go to firewall. You can go to firewall session. You can from networking. You can go to firewall from this. Go. This is compute instance. Okay, so firewall. From here you can go to VPC firewall. Okay, so VPC network. If you go to this VPC network, you can search the firewall. Go to firewall. Okay. Let's see what are the ports allowed. Cockpit is allowed. Okay, Cockpit is allowed. Delete it. Let's delete this rule. Okay. I'm deleting the rule. So it will take some time for deletion of the rule. Yeah, rule is no longer there. Refresh it once again. Go to this browser, copy it, close this browser, open a new one, paste it, and you see that it will not load. It will show you connecting. It will not come. So why it's not come? There's no rule set up. So we have to set up the rule. So we have to set up the rule. So So how could you set up the rule? Go to this create firewall rule, give it a name, Cockpit. Okay, give a description. Leave all these things default. Priorities leave it as it is. Ingress. This is the ingress connection. So here allow here allow targets. Okay, you need to define targets. What target? So we have to target that instance. Okay, so you can target it to all the instances in the network, or you can target it to all the specified one specific service account. Okay, this was service account. Let's take a service account in this project. Service account in this project. This is the service account. Then, oh, sorry, it's done. Okay. Cockpit rule. Cockpit rule. Then specify targets or specify service account. You can service account. Source IP filter, if you want to define a source, you can do it. Otherwise, I don't need to specify any source. Leave it default, so it will allow anybody. So protocols, all protocols I'm not supposed to allow. I have to use 9090 only. Okay, so least privilege is the best policy. Do not allow everybody. Only those who are needed to access, who need to access this resource, allow them. Otherwise, rest all are denied. Create it. Correct and continuous. Some issues. What's the issue is? Source filter. Okay. Source. Oh, sorry. You need to either give a specific IP address, a subnet, or an allow all. So 0.0. This is a wildcard. 0.0/0. This is a wildcard rule to allow everybody. Okay. So cockpit rule created. So reload it. Okay, now it's done. Cockpit is accessible. So how would you connect to it? You need a username and password. And unfortunately, we don't have that one. We have username, password is not set. So cloud shell, that this cloud web client is connecting directly from the Google. It takes it's a key-based authentication from Google itself. But we have to enable it. So how will I enable it? Let's create a new account. So I want to create a new account instead of using the default one. So user add, say Vivek. Okay, give a password. Okay, user account created. Check the user owner permissions. Okay, so user it does not have any permission. We need to give this user administrative privilege because we need to use this account as an administrator account. So how would you do that? You need to add it in sudo rules. So let's check what sudo rules Google is providing. etc sudowords.d Google sudowords. This is the rule. Okay, so this is the rule Google has provided. Let's see. We have to add this this user, a member of this group. So once this is done, then the user will have all access, and even the password is not required. But yeah, we will configure keyless authentication using keys. Otherwise, it will be not a secure one. Okay, let's do that. So how to add the user in a group? I will add the user as a secondary member of this group. User mod -a for add, capital G to make this group as the secondary group. Now username. Check the permission now. Okay, the user is a member of this group, but still we cannot access it from external source because we don't have the keyless to key-based authentication. By default, Google instances are allowed to access through over keys only. So not an issue. Go to that user account. We are already root, so we can switch to that account. Okay, go to that account. You are in that account. Now you need to create a public and private key pair. SSH keygen -t RSA. Okay, SSH keygen -t RSA. Otherwise, you can work using this from this shell as well. There is a download upload option is also available. Download and upload option available. You can upload files, you can download files. Everything is possible. You don't need to access it using any particular line. But so I am finding myself comfortable using my local tools that I am using in my laptop. That's what I'm doing. And if I need to upload and download it, I can use my conventional method way that instead of using the shell, I can use my conventional method that I'm using. Okay, that's the reason I'm doing it. So okay, SSH keygen -t RSA. So enter everything except all defaults. No need to give any passphrase. Done. So while the keys are created, go to cd dot is a hidden. Okay, hidden directory. It creates a hidden directory .ssh. Go there. These are the two. So this pub is the public key and this is the private key. So we need to download and keep the public key with us, a private key with us, and then this public key has to be authorized. So how to authorize this? Copy it. Just copy the key. Copy the key and just create a new file with authorized keys. AUTHORI. These are keywords. Okay, so system defined keywords, authorized keys. This is the file. If there is a file in this location with contents of this public key, so then that any user who is connecting to this instance, with the private key are authorized to access it. Okay, without even giving password. So done. Now check what the content of these keys. So first see ID RSA. Pub, what's there? So this is the key. Okay, this is the encrypted key. And what's the content of that authorized key? The same, because I have copied it. And now I need to download this file. This private can keep it in a safe location in my laptop. So how will you do that? So how will I do that? Just copy this file, this IDRS, this file to TMP. Okay, TMP, temp location, and give it a different name. So say give it a different meaningful name like Vivek New Lab 1 Prev. Okay, dot key. Okay, so let's give this name. Key given. Check the permission of the key. So with this permission, I cannot copy it. Okay, so in order to copy it, you have to give a little bit extra additional permission. So this is owned by. Okay. So sorry, this is owned by Vivek. So I have connected to this cloud shell using another accounts. So from temp I can copy it, so, but I have to give a little bit of higher permission. Chmod 644. Okay, 644, and this. Okay, now check the permission. Yeah, it's now it's sufficient. Now how could I access download it? Go copy this one, copy this file name, go to download, directly paste the path, download. Done. It's downloaded in my laptop. In the downloads you will find that this is the key. So how could I connect to it now? I have a utility MovaXterm, I can use it. Obviously I need the public key of the instance, a public IP of the instance again. So go to the compute engine, VM instance. So here is the public key. Copy it. Open MovaXterm session SSH. Paste it here. Give a username. Vivek. Advanced settings. Now mention your browse and provide the key. So downloads. Where is download? This is downloads. Okay, downloads. This is the key. Let's see. It connects or not. Yeah, it's connecting. It's connecting. Yeah. Now boom, it's connected. So let's switch to sudo and let's check if it works. Sudo su hyphen. Yeah, it's switching to root now. If you need to download any files using MovaXterm, it's very easy. You can just from here you can download from your laptop directly. Okay, if you want to download anything. Okay, so let's now continue using this shell. It's the same shell. So now what's there in our document? Let's see. Cockpit is okay. So let's test the account. Okay, now test the same account using Cockpit. Vivek, give the password, login. Okay, so this is the management interface of the instance. It's not a graphical desktop. It's not the graphical desktop one, but this is the management interface. So it shows about this machine completely. This is the name of the machine. You can the system overview. You can check. Then you can check the logs of the machine. You can check the networking configuration of the machine. Even it does provide. It will show you the performance as well. It will show you the virtual machines virtual machine manager in here itself. So you can create the virtual machine from this location. Okay, so start libvirt. The virtualization service libvirt is not active, so libvirt is not available. We have to install libvirt in that. Right now it will not work, so just leave it as it is. We have to configure further things to configure the virtualization. So virtualization is not yet completed. So okay, leave it for now. Cockpit is installed and accessible. That's fine. Why it's not opening? I don't have this content saved. Once you've done your setup, you can create final machine image. Okay, Google Doc does not have the complete details. Let's open another blog site. That's my blog site. Yeah, this is the blog site. So enabling, I think it does have the complete details. I will share the links of these blogs. It does have all this information set up. Okay. Okay. After this, it's not mentioned. Okay. This is also not complete. Okay. I will complete it and share with you. In the meantime, let's do it myself. Okay. It's done. Close it. Go to the shell. Okay. Libvirt is the Libvirt is the daemon that needs to be installed in order to configure. So libvirt, let's configure the libvirt. Yum list libvirt. Let's see if libvirt is installed. It's an available package, so let's install it. Let's search for what are the components required for this configuration. If you search in Google, configure KVM in CentOS 8. This will show. Yeah, Vert user. These are the tools we need to install. Vert install, libvirt. Vert install is there. Libvirt. Okay, so it will install if you install these packages. So DNF, this command will directly work. Okay, so it's done. Now the other Vert manager also we need to install. We need to install Vert install. This DNF install, Vert viewer and Vert manager as well. Vert viewer, Vert manager. Okay. Okay, done. Vert manager also installed, but let's see the status of libvirt. Systemctl status. Liberty. It's inactive, so we need to start it. Started. Now we need to make it persistent across reboots. So we need to enable it. So my internet is getting slow. Enable it. Okay, enabled. So it started as well as enables. Once we reboot, it will be available. Okay, so if you go to Cockpit now, so it shows the virtual machine manager is enabled now. No VM is running or defined on this project. So that is the reason. So no VM is running or defined. Okay. Now you need to access the graphical desktop. So how will you do that? Graphical desktop is not installed in the system by default, so you have to install it. So how will you do that? We need to install GDM, the Genome Desktop Manager. So yum install or DNF install. DNF install GDM Firefox. Though these are not required, Genome Desktop is not required. We can manage virtualization from the command line, but it will be a bit tougher to manage for the new user. So I think graphical desktop is required, is recommended. Sometimes the installation of genome or the graphical components over these cloud instances actually corrupt the instance. That happened earlier. I tried it, it failed. But in my last lab when I tried it, it worked. So I think I did something wrong earlier. Let's see here. So it's installing 162 packages. So after that, in order to access that graphical user interface from your laptop, you should need some kind of so display configurations like VNC or XRDP, that is called remote desktop over X. X is the graphical display for Linux. So how to install XRDP? How to install XRDP on CentOS 8. Okay, so this is, let's see. They want to use this group install and server with GUI, but this creates a problem. This crashes the VM. Whenever I tried to use this crashes it. So that's the reason I'm not using it. So I have configured the GDM, the default one, just the basic components required to access graphics that I have installed. And also I need Firefox. That's the Firefox also installed. The other components in the graphics will not be available. You can install it as per your requirement, but right now it's not needed. So let's see what's the state now. It's installing. Firefox is a bit heavy package. It will take some time. I would like to reboot the instance, because once you reboot it, so it will configure everything, because we have installed so many packages. Most of them are system components. Okay, let it finish, then I can reboot it. Okay guys, this is done. Installation is done. It installs all the XORG X11 packages installed. So I hope it will work now. Just reboot it once. Let's see. We can monitor it from here. From okay. Let's wait. Let's hope for the best and wait. So once it reconnects, then we'll proceed further. So we are almost done with our configuration. Just I have to show you the virtual machine manager, and I will install one say OS image. Let's see, either Linux or ESX also I can do that. I have the image available. So in this session we'll cover up to that much only. So after then I will come with more videos on configuration of the ESX. So, but here in this video I will show you how to install an operating system on the virtual machine manager. Okay. So this is done. It's connected. It's connected. Let's check the thing. Okay, it's connected. SU hyphen. Okay, it's connected. Let's press R to continue. It will reconnect. Okay, it's now configured. It's now let's configure the XRDP. XRDP that we use to connect to the graphical desktop using remote desktop, the standard remote desktop tool that's available with our Windows. Okay, so first we need to enable EPEL. It's an additional repository from Red Hat Fedora. It's a Fedora project, so it provides the package. So we have to so it's enabling the repository in the Linux box. Now DNF install XRDP. Sorry. Once it's installed, we need to enable it. Okay guys, it's installed and configured. I think we need to do some other stuff. Yeah, we can check the status. Just check the status of it. It's enabled as well, so after reboot also it will be available. It's not loaded. It's inactive to start it. So we have enabled and started it. It's now active. So that's fine. We don't need any other thing to configure it. We don't need any other thing. Yeah, we need to allow this 3389 port. We need to allow this 3389 port. So other than that, we don't need it. Let's see. Let's see whether we can connect it or not. Oh, I need the public IP of the Linux. It will be slow because I'm using the internet connection. If the internet connection is slow, so it will also be slow. Yeah, this is the desktop. This is the graphical desktop of that Linux instance. So now you want to see the virtual machine manager, click on it, actions. So guys, it will be slow. The graphics over this X Windows system through RDP over internet is slow. So I do not see the virtual machine manager is installed. I do not see the virtual machine manager. Let's click on it. Yeah, it's there. It's the virtual machine manager. Add to favorites. Okay, now open it. Yeah, this is the virtual machine manager. So what you need to authorize it. That didn't work. Why it's not working? Liberty service is installed but not running. It's really not running. Why it's not? Oh, we rebooted it. This is systemctl status liberty. It's not dead. Oh, we rebooted it. It's not okay. It's not enabled, I think. Okay, let's check the status. Now it's running. enable it. So it will enable it in the done. Now I think it will work. Sorry guys, my internet connection is a bit slow right now. I can see, so it's taking time. So it's not responding. The graphics is not responding as fast as expected. So if I have a faster internet connection, so that will be much better. It's not responding. It's very slow. Yeah, it didn't work. Please try. Why it's not working? Authentication is required to start Liberty service. I have already started. Liberty is installed but not running. Starts the Liberty service to manage virtualization on this host. The virtualization connection can be manually started by add connection. No active connection to install. What's this? Why this is happening? It's going dead frequently. I don't know why it's not working. So let's see. The system policy prevents management of local virtualized systems. I think the user account I'm using does not have the proper privilege. Let's check ID. Vivek. Okay. Okay, let's add Vivek user in Libert group. Libert group member should be able to access it. User mod -a G I B I R T Libert. Let's see headed ID. Let's see now. Try it again. It should work now. Let's see. Seems connected now. It says working. Okay, so virtual machine, we can create a new virtual machine using, but I don't have any image. Let me copy an image. Hold on. Let's enable that one, the other one, this instance. Let's start this instance. So I have the image available in this one, this Linux instance. So once it's up, I can transfer it to that one. It's within the network, so it will be faster. After that, I can show you with installation of the virtual machine. So I will show you with the VMware ESX. It's a smaller image. CentOS Linux or Red Hat Enterprise Linux is a bigger image, so it will take time to download or to download, move to transfer to that target VM. It's connected. Let's see. Let's copy this one. Sessions I have. What is the IP? Let's see. Let's start the session, new session. I think this will work. Yeah, it's connected. So I have the image in a directory. Is all I have. So let's transfer it. But how could I transfer it? I need a key. I need the key of the new key as well here. So private key. So let's upload the private key first. This one. Yeah, I have uploaded, but where it's gone? Okay, yeah, key is there. This is the key. I have to give the less permission. Let's show you. So I want to transfer this one, not OVA, this installer. Okay, this installer. So let's transfer it. Let's transfer the image to the target location. To SSH, how could I do that? SSH-I or insert the key. Then file. Let's this one. And also let's copy this one. Okay, so then to the target. How? user at, I need the public IP of the target. Public IP copied. Now let's say let's put it in the temp directory. Could not resolve hostname. Could not resolve hostname. Where is the hostname? Where it's looking for hostname? Oh, sorry, it's not SSH. It has to be SCP, secure copy. SCP. Yeah. Accept the host key. Okay, it's this VMware image is transferred. The next one is going to take time. So in the meantime, I will show you to install the image, VMware image. Okay, so VMware image, I can install it directly. It will create a problem if we install it in this way. Let's see if I can do that manually. Okay, let's see. Okay, ISO image forward. Otherwise, I have another method of through a script. So, where I need to create a disk first, then. So let's see. Other locations, computer, TMP. Where is TMP? Yeah, here is TMP. It does not have rights. Okay, the TMP, this file does not have rights to transfer. Okay, so it does not have rights. So let's see. It does not have rights. So let's go to TMP. CD. Rights already have. Why Liberty is not able to access it? Or let's move it to the Webex directory, home directory. CP Webex. Now let's see. It does not show. Images are there, but it's not using it. Why it's not using it? Maybe some permission related issue. Let's give chmod 777. Still, it's not available. So let's see. Add it from here. Let's see. No, this is a disk image. No. Where live libert images. Okay, it's looking for the image at this location. Browse local location. Let's see. Browse local. Now it's accessible. Okay, I'm using a wrong location. I'm selecting it from a wrong location. You're not selected. And you must select an operating system. Okay, so automatically detect is not there. So generate default. Let's see. The validating install media could not start. We cannot state the VM thin client drives permission denied. Cable system. Or I have another option available. Let's see. I will just show you. Okay, here network bridge VR bridge 0. Let's say change it to 0. And let's create this one image. Okay, image created. Now let's image to 1 1. Okay, so it's a image 1. It started or not? Yeah, it started. Oh, click it. Yeah, have a look. Installation started. Okay, installation started. So installation session, this is the way you can install other operating system as well. So let's see, the file copy is not yet completed, 88%. So we are done for the session. What we wanted to configure, that target is achieved. So we are able to install an operating system on it. So it's not completed installation. So installation will complete. Just hold on, let me show you. It will take a couple of minutes. So in my next video, I will start from this location and I will configure the rest of the VMware ESX configuration with high availability as well as DRS virtual center configuration in the video. Okay, so in complete in a single stage. Now let's see. Let's complete it the installation. So I think I need to expand it a little bit. To expand the window. That's fine. So press F11. Sorry, function F11. It's scanning for devices. Enter continue. Defaults. Give password. Continue. Continue. Start installation. F11. Now installation started. We'll complete in couple of minutes. 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes it will take. So this is a virtualized environment. So speed is slow. So have patience. So in the same way, we can create multiple operating system. It depends on the resources available on the host. So as per the current speed, I can see that it's much decent. It's a pretty decent. Even in our laptop or desktop, if we install it, it will be slower than this. ESXi is a very small operating system. It does not have, it only has the type 1 hypervisor because over that, after configuration of this, if once we configure the guest VM over this ESX, that will be much slower. Okay, enter. Reboot it. So it's a KVM, so it will after reboot, it will not come automatically up. We need to power it on again. Then so okay, it came back. Fine. Okay, it came back, so that's fine. Yeah, restarting gates, it's showing restarting gates. So it's starting up. It will take some time for the installation to complete. So how much memory I have given, let's see. So I have given here 12 gigs. 12 gigs of memory I have given it to this virtual machine. We are not giving 12 gigs to a virtual machine in our laptop. So most of our laptop does have not more than 16 gigs. The maximum memory available in a good newer laptop is around 24 gigs or 30 gigs, 32 gigs maximum. But that's also a very costly one. The standard laptop, my laptop does have 16 gigs. Let it complete. After that, I will show you how to connect to the image. I will just connect to the copy the IP address 192.168.122.51 122.51. 122.51, 192.168. This IP is assigned by the KVM DHCP. 192.168.122.51, I believe. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, continue, accept and continue. We'll show you your vCenter VM ESX management console. We have given root account. We have given the password as well during installation. So hopefully it will connect. Yeah, here you are. So this is the management interface for ESX, the host management interface. But this is not the right way to manage it. We will be installing. We will use this one. We'll install 2 instances of ESX in our next video. Then in one of them, any one of them, I will install the virtual center appliance, and then through virtual center appliance, then we can manage both the hosts. Okay, that's all. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the session. Stay tuned for my next video.